This epoxy here has had a little over 24 hours to set and is looking really good. With the temperatures that we've had, that's pretty much cured now, as is the stuff in Pier 2. So instead, because we only had the afternoon, instead of trying to get this one done, we decided to turn our attention to start on Piers 4 and 5. After the challenges we had with drilling this piece of rebar, we thought, let's open up 4 and 5, see what we're going to find there, see if we need to get ourselves a new drill. We did look at some this morning. We think we're going to rent one if we need one rather than buy, just because those SDS drills are really expensive and we only need it for a handful of holes here. So we've opened up 4 and 5. 4 is pretty shallow, but the rock here looks pretty solid. I think we're going to be able to drill into this pretty good. My suspicion is this is the slightly softer stuff that we've been able to get into with our drill. And this, I suspect, is a harder piece here of a different rock. It's not as deep as we would like, but it's what we got to work with. And I think once it's pinned in with the epoxy and the rebar, we should be okay. Meanwhile, Pier 5 is a lot deeper. So this is a solid 6 foot deep here. So we're comfortably below the frost depth on this one. We have got a nice solid piece of what we think is the blue flint, the real hard stuff again, that we, assuming we can drill into it, we can pin some rebar into. The rest of this hole, I think what we'll do here is build a form, fill that real deep section with some crushed rock. That'll just level it off a little bit. Obviously, we need to clean out the hole and things before we do that. So now we sort of know what we're dealing with 4 and 5. We're going to turn our attention back to Pier 2. So Pier 2, this is the one that we built the form and backfilled around yesterday. So the epoxy in here is all nice and cured. That's looking great. We were going to put some more crushed rock around here, but this form is solid. Like, it is absolutely just, I don't think it's going to go anywhere when we put the concrete in. It is also almost perfectly level. Like, that is so close to level on the level that we put down. It looks perfect. So we feel really good about this. So what we're going to do now is get the concrete in here. That means that this can cure, and once that's cured for 24 hours, we can put the sonotube on top and then pour that pier. What we're thinking now is we're going to pour this pier and then probably build the little ladder jig, either to support this one from the first one, or maybe pour this one without it, then build that ladder jig that will come across and help us do Pier 3, which is the one we really need it for because it's so deep there. So that's where we're up to today. Next step is to start mixing some concrete. So we got the concrete mixer open, we got some water ready. We have plenty of concrete bags. Every time we've been doing trips to the store, we've been picking up more concrete bags in the back of the truck. We think this is going to take, we think it's about 3 cubic yards, and a bag of concrete makes about 0.6. So we think it's about 5 bags to go in here. It's so irregularly shaped, it's hard to tell. We've got probably 30 something bags of concrete, so we're not going to run out here, and we'll just mix a couple at a time, see how we do, and as we're getting close we can always just mix 1 or even half a bag if we need to.
We want to be able to remove these forms, so I'm spraying it with concrete release liquid.
Okay, I'm just about out.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
have the footing for Pier 2 poured now. This couple of pieces of rebar here will come up into the sonotube when we pour that. Maybe tomorrow. That might be something we get to tomorrow if we can. Obviously, Pier 3 is still curing, so that's no big problem. We're going to call it a day for today, though. We've got a few other things to work on, but lots more here to happen. So today we've been working on Pier 2. This is the sonotube. We have put it in place, we've measured it, we've cut it to length. A few ways of cutting these sonotubes. We found the best way is use a piece of painter's tape to get a nice straight line all the way around. And then just a regular pocket knife works really well just for cutting it. A few passes around and a nice clean edge that we can fill up to. We've then wrapped it in the poly. This is the same poly as last time. This is, what size was this? This is 6mm poly that we're using. It's a 10-foot wide sheet and it comes in the roll kind of folded over, so it's probably about 3 layers thick here. The idea of that is if the frost, the ice tries to grip hold of this and lift it up, theoretically this will just provide a little bit of kind of a low friction surface the ice can't grab hold as well. That's the theory. We figure it can't hurt, even if it doesn't work as well as some people think it might. We have then made this little sort of jig thing, this ladder as we're calling it, which is basically clamped around the Pier 1 there. And then what this will do is allow us to put Pier 2 in the exact right position, and then we won't screw to this. What we'll do is we'll put another couple of pieces of blocking in here to kind of hold it in place. And that way we'll have it exactly where we want it. We've got a string line that we put coming across. You'll notice this isn't straight. That's because we're not using this string line for anything other than that exact point. So we spent quite a while this morning getting that exactly perfect within, I mean, less than the width of the string in terms of accuracy. So we are exactly where we want it. Again, we'll use the wooden jig on top of here to line that cross perfectly with the center of this sonotube. So what I'm going to do now is I made this little donut again out of foam board. We'll put the bottom of the sonotube in there like that, and all this does is just gives it a slightly wider base so that when we rest it on the footing it'll sit a little bit nicer. So that'll go on there in a minute, but before we put that on we're going to take the formwork off. So this has had about 24 hours now to cure. It will keep curing. We'll put more water on it and things. Once all the crushed rock's on there, it'll be fine. There'll be no evaporation. That'll keep curing for the next, well, 28 days really, along with that. And we're not loading up these posts anytime soon, these piers, so that's fine. We've also cut 2 more pieces of rebar. They're going to go in there, and the J-bolt is prepared. So now things start coming together. So I'm going to take off the concrete form. So what we've got is we've got the 2x4s around the outside, and then the OSB forming kind of the walls. We did spray them with form release, and last time this worked really well. So let's pull some screws out and see. Just for my own amusement, I've used different screws in here apparently. Yeah, I've got a star drive there, and all the others are Phillips. I was probably reusing the form. Let me get the star drive bit. I actually think that whole form might just lift out as one now. Yeah. I can just get under there. There we go. So I think that form release agent worked well. That's just the stuff we bought off Amazon. Nothing fancy. And then this is our big concrete footing. Again, that's going to keep on curing for the next 28 days or so. We're going to put more crushed rock around here as we put the sonotube on as well. Really sort of pack this thing in, and it should be solid.
The sonotube is set and solid, so now we're ready to pour the concrete.
Well, Pier 2 is poured. That went pretty smoothly, actually. We got it poured, and this ladder conveniently fits a little 5-gallon bucket on top to sort of cover it up, keep it protected. It's due to rain tonight because it's Vermont in 2023. Why wouldn't it rain tonight? So we've poured some water on here. This will sort of help keep it real moist and stop the evaporation, which is what you need to do when you're curing concrete. This bucket over the top will help trap that moisture in there, but will then keep the rain off it, which rain itself isn't too bad. We don't want the impact of the raindrops damaging the surface of that concrete while it is curing. So we're going to leave that just like that for at least 24 hours before we remove this form. In reality, it'll probably end up staying like this for a good few days. Because of the forecast and some other things that we've got to work on, we're not going to be able to get straight back to this. However, when we do, we've got a plan to work on Piers 3, 4 and 5. One of the things that we're having to battle is that different stages take time to cure before you can move on. So a priority for us now is actually getting the holes drilled for Piers 4 and 5. A, because we need to put the epoxy in there. That takes at least 24 hours, and as the weather's getting cooler, it takes longer and longer to cure. But B, we don't know if our drill is going to get into that rock, and if we have to go and rent a drill, obviously that adds time in as well. So tomorrow, if we can, we're going to try and get to those, get some holes drilled. If we can, at least we'll know what we're dealing with, if not. So that has been our day of working on the piers. It's slow going, we're taking our time, we're measuring things once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. We're really trying to get everything as accurate as we can. This sonotube here, the J-bolt in the top is within a 32nd of an inch of where it's meant to be. It is spot on the line. And yeah, so we're really happy with that. This was sort of our test, because if this wasn't quite in line, it didn't actually matter. We could just set a new line with wherever it landed. But we can't do that after this one. So that was our test to make sure we could accurately place the sonotube. This ladder jig did work really well for helping with that. We'll probably use the same technique for the other piers going forward. Like there. Okay. We've been drilling some more holes. Well, trying to. After the challenges we had on the previous piers, we had decided to get an SDS drill, just to rent one. And we thought, before we do, let's just try one final time with a hammer drill. To be fair to this little consumer drill, it did pretty good on here. And that bit that I thought I had just sort of burned out actually carried on working. So between the new bit and the old one, swapping them over so they didn't get too hot, managed to get 6 holes drilled in here, nice and deep. This one though, this is the one that we thought we were going to have challenges with, and sure enough we did. Down here on Pier 5, we've got this piece of just really solid blue flint kicking out. It goes all the way under there. This is all kind of virgin earth, but it comes up under there. And that one, we tried it with this drill, and much like that hole, just nothing. So I think our plan for that one is to rent an STS drill, see if that'll make it through, and hopefully get some holes drilled in there.
We did manage to drill the holes into the rock at Pier 5 with the STS drill, but it went a little bit too well. The drill went through the rock. It turned out that rock was about 5 to 8 inches thick. We couldn't tell how big that rock was, so first we wanted to see if we could pull it out with a truck or tractor. Nothing at all. But the rock didn't budge at all. You can play music with that. Let's move that one next.
Try to move this one, yeah.
piers for the utility building are done. It feels good to accomplish our first concrete project. Most new projects seem daunting at first, but as we figure them out, each next new project seems less and less daunting. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.